I got a question. Like, what's the in Warsaw? What's the are there a lot of Turks in Warsaw?
Turks? I mean, you have...
Yeah, well, I don't mean to race bait. Like, they're infamous in Kiev.
Not that many. I mean, there's like plenty of kebab places and all of that. I see some Middle
like
East
PUA Turks
here, but I don't see it as a big thing. I think it's probably more of a thing in Ukraine for some reason than in Poland. But no, there isn't a huge amount of... I mean, Warsaw, you see a lot of people who are tourists or other people. I mean, I see guys who apparently do live here that are either Arab or Turkish or something like that, but it's a very small minority, and I don't really hear much about them.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying like, Turkish, fuck the Turks, but it's like they do have that stereotype in Ukraine when you see like 2 or 3 Turks walking down Krashedek, it's they're looking to go up to women and like make them a monetary offer.
I heard
back
about
to their apartment.
That it's more like later in the day, like evening, when they come out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 262 and I, we almost got in a fight with one of the guys because he stuck his tongue out at the girl McDonald's.
Yeah, that's a funny story. I remember we were sitting in the McDonald's and on Krashedek, and there was these two Turkish girls. One was attractive, the other was definitely not. And there was a guy with them. And, I'm just goofing off.
Yeah.
I'm just goofing off. I'm like looking at them, and I'm like, I'll just play around, whatever, goof off. And they're like, you stick out your tongue like a kid, and it's like, yeah. Then I don't know. Somehow shit got started, and I mean, nothing. It was just like, nothing physical happened. Obviously, it was just kind of like, it was just kind of more like a white knight response from the guy.
Yeah, like total white knight response, and it was because the ugly one like got all mad when she saw that the hot one, that you gave the hot one the attention. She was like, what the fuck was he doing? Like, how dare he? And then the little fat guy like came over to us because he didn't like you sticking your tongue out at you made like a child's face at her.
Yeah.
Like what kids do when they stick their tongue out at adults. It was like completely playful. That shit was funny, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be. It's one of those experiences, kind of like the Revo crew experiences in Kiev. But I guess to answer, I'll also chime in on the question about Turks. I don't feel like there are as many of them in Poland. They certainly don't have the reputation that they do in Ukraine. I think it's because in Ukraine they get visa-free access to. They get visa-free access to Ukraine, but they don't get it to the EU, so it's a little bit harder for them to come. And also, there isn't as much prostitution in Poland as there is in Kiev. I remember if you stay out in Krashedek long enough and you stay out in the evening, you'll see like girls just sitting on benches in the middle of, kind of late hours in Krashedek, and you pretty much know that what they're selling.
So like, make me an offer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have any first-hand experience, but I think the prostitution in Poland might be comparable to Ukraine. It's just different.
Yeah.
Here, as far as I know, it's decriminalized or maybe even legal in Poland. It's just that it's mostly online and there's these agencies, so you don't really see the street walking type of prostitution, at least not in Warsaw. I think they tried to clean that up, so now it's like there's these agencies and places, so you don't really have this kind of street thing going on.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of a funny story that happened with one other forum member, Unbowed. I was out day gaming with him in Krashedek in Kiev, and it's funny. By the way, he also looks Turkish. He's not Turkish, but he looks Turkish, but he looks Middle Eastern. He's Middle Eastern American, and he did just fine in Kiev. So, to all the guys out there who might be thinking that that's an issue, it's not.
He was so mad a few days. Like, it's a PUA convention out here on Krashedek.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens in summer in Kiev sometimes. Happens here in Sopot in the summer too. But getting back to it, yeah, I remember he thought he saw one guy try to pick up this hot girl. So he went up to the guy and was like, "Hey, how did it go?" And he's like, "She's not working." We're both like, "Oh God." Oh.
Not
Yeah.
working right now for it all. Their day off.
Oh boy.
I'll add one more thing about Warsaw versus like Ukraine, for example. I think women here, or Polish women in general, aren't as traditionally, feminine, or there's kind of this idealized femininity that gets talked about a lot that Ukrainian women possess. So you'll see that difference here. Like if you see a girl in Warsaw and she's dressed really nicely in heels, that kind of thing, it's more likely than not that she's Ukrainian, not Polish. I mean, Polish women, and I don't think it's so much an influence. I mean, it's partially influence of Western culture, but also Polish women have this history that goes way back of being more independent and that type of thing. So the more stereotypical, feminine, sort of well-dressed women, I think, are more in Russia and Ukraine than compared to Poland.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that too. I've
what about the one night stand culture?
It's still here. I mean, maybe it's not as much as in America, but it's still there. Yeah.
Like what I'd ask maybe, and I don't know if you guys, I don't know if anybody's pulled it off. I have not pulled this off yet, but as far as getting a same day lay from day game, I have not done that in Ukraine. I've met girls in the day. I've brought them back to my apartment that same day that I met them, but it has never led to sex.
I've done it here in Poland, but not with Polish girls.
Yeah, same here too. Actually, I've done it in Sopot, but yeah, it's not Polish girls. It was they're Western European girls. So,
maybe I don't want to give away too much information, but I have actually, but from a club, not from day game. So, I mean, it's still the same type of idea,
right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was just curious because, man, I was just wondering if Polish girls. But you guys said it wasn't with Polish girls. I was just wondering if it's more common with Polish girls to be able to do that. But I'm still holding out. It's been 8 months. It hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen eventually.
But is it still it's still just a matter of several dates, or do you find that women are much more reserved than what you've experienced in the past in Ukraine?
Are you like Ukrainian girls?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear the whole question.
Yeah, do you think being maybe even just like a Western guy, they just kind of are more cautious with you, or?
They are, man, but one of the things that I was talking about with 262 in the last show was we were talking about logical sex versus emotional sex, and Roosh did a YouTube video about that a while back too, and it's it's probably because I don't do night game here, but during the day it's straight up these girls are logical about it. They do not lend themselves to their emotions, especially when they go back to a guy's apartment that they've just met. I have not encountered that girl yet. I'm sure she's out there. I'm gonna find her, but I just haven't met her yet.
I think it's just more of that kind of pragmatic mentality of Ukrainian women, where they know that they have a certain value and that they could, get themselves in trouble if they, let's say they get pregnant and the guy disappears. I mean, that's more of a risk for a Ukrainian girl than a Western European or an American girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think there is more of that kind of value exchange mentality, not necessarily like a gold digger, all those are there also, but just more of a transactional sort of mentality when it comes to being with guys.
Yeah, it is highly transactional. I mean, there's no getting around that. I suppose the only way you do get around it is with night game, but like I said, I wouldn't know. And I have, let's see, there was one girl I brought back here, and she accepted one glass of wine, and that was it. She was just like down to drink a glass of wine and hang out, but all the other girls that I've ever brought back to my apartment on the same day have never have never accepted like an invitation to like just even have a glass of wine and hang out and like eat a snack or anything like that. It was all actually there was two girls, and I have a stool by my front door to have shoes off when I come inside. Both the girls, when they came inside the apartment, they sat down on that stool and never got up until we left to go back out.
I mean, I don't have any experience with Ukrainian girls in Ukraine, but my guess would be it's just a matter of just a little bit more comfort. You'd probably be better off inviting them back on the second date. That's just a thought that I have.
Yeah, you're probably right. I need to tighten up my game.
I mean, back to your place on the first date might just scare them off a bit. So that's just.
It's the animal with me. It's the animal.
Just a little bit of patience, Daniel style. Right?
Oh, I don't have any patience here, man.
I want it now.
They're so hot, man. It's the hotness of the ladies overrides any patience that I have.
Yeah, I will say that going just from my border run that I did to Lviv, you definitely notice an uptick in the femininity going from Poland to Ukraine. I think you could also kind of feel they're probably a little bit more conservative also because of the language issue. If that may result in some insecurity on their part or and also less consumption of Western media.
Yeah, I think for Poland it has more, the benefits are that it's more Western, you have better infrastructure, you have better like creature comforts, but the trade-off is that you don't have these types of women as much. So yeah, I guess that's the balance. But the good thing, like I mentioned now, is that there are a ton of Ukrainian people and Ukrainian women too coming to Poland. So if a guy is interested in Ukrainian women, then he can, probably the third best place after Kiev and Lviv is Warsaw. In that regard.
And don't forget Odessa.